Coming up, we go behind the scenes after Newcastle United's 2-2 draw at the London Stadium, and we reflect on a near miss for Newcastle in the capital.
More for the match day scarf.
So an unbelievably warm day down here in London, in Stratford. Great backdrop here. Newcastle got a good record, but both teams going to this game in good form, so it's going to be really interesting to watch this one. Actually, last season it was an absolute cakewalk for Newcastle, winning 5-1 here on the road to the Champions League. This season could be a little bit tougher, even though obviously Declan Rice has left West Ham now, but Newcastle know they've replaced them with good players, and that was something that Eddie Howe wanted to make sure everyone was aware of before the game, not to take them too lightly. I think one factor could be West Ham a little bit tired, haven't played on Thursday night in Germany, late trip back. Newcastle have had that extra day's rest, a little bit of extra time to prepare for the game, so it should be a real cracker really, this one today. Not picked for TV. 0-0 Crystal Palace Nottingham Forest yesterday. Maybe the broadcaster might have got that one wrong, but Newcastle will be hoping to get a big win here today, an important win, take them onto the international break in good spirits.
Facciamo una volta a Newcastle, sì, dopo una partita ancora.
Well, I think had anyone been offered a point at half time here at the London Stadium for Newcastle, then you would have probably gratefully received it, given how Newcastle just looked a little bit almost lethargic in the first half, didn't even force a shot on target, and obviously going a goal down compounded that when Souček scored very early in this game. But look, after the break, Newcastle much better, posed a lot of questions of West Ham, and it looked like there was only going to be one winner. You know, Alexander Isak getting 2 goals, 2 well-worked goals as well from Newcastle. I thought they really deserved to be 2-1 up, and then after that I was wondering how many Newcastle were going to go on and score, let alone concede another one. You know, Isak going through, rounding the keeper and then hitting the post. You know, it looked like the points were on the table for Newcastle, and there was only going to be one team that was leaving here with all 3 points. Unfortunately, things conspired against Newcastle. I think we all need to take another good look at the equaliser, but you know, Kudus hitting a shot that, you know, stuns Newcastle really in the 89th minute, and yeah, at 2-2 with West Ham starting to build momentum, you probably would have taken a point again there, but look, the way Newcastle had those 2 lapses, unusual lapses under Eddie Howe, it has to be said, but Newcastle will leave here with a point. Probably not the result many people wanted, you know, going into the second half, but before the game, after such a big week, would you have taken a point? I think when the dust settles, this might look a better result than it feels at the moment. So just leaving the London Stadium now after Newcastle United draw 2-2 with West Ham, on a day where, yeah, it could have actually gone either way. But Newcastle in the first half probably were looking as leggy as I'd seen them all season really. Even Eddie Howe in his press conference after the game admitting that you know, it was probably a hangover from the PSG game the other night, and that's the first time Eddie Howe's kind of reached for comments like that since he's been in charge. But look, it's almost a case of what goes up must come down, and for Newcastle, that game would have taken a lot out of the players, a lot out of the players' legs. Let's remember, you had Dan Burn charging in for tackles and celebrating those tackles, and you just cannot sometimes keep up that level of performance, plus the adrenaline that has been taken away from Newcastle in the last few days as well. So lots to be philosophical about. I don't think it's the end of the world drawn 2-2 here at West Ham, because a lot of teams will come here and get nothing. So a point is still a positive result, it's still a good result. It's just the way that Newcastle allowed that to happen after going 2-1 up. First half, they deserved to be 1-0 down. They started slow, they didn't create much, they didn't have a shot on target. Second half was much better, creating a lot of opportunities. Alexander Isak getting 2 goals, 2 lovely finishes from the Sweden international, and that's what we've come to expect from the £63 million man. And when it went to 2-1, as I've already touched on, I thought there's only one winner here, and Newcastle are probably going to end up getting a scoreline of possibly 3 or 4. Something similar to what happened last season, but look, it wasn't to be. Newcastle took Isak off. He'd had another chance as well, he'd hit the post, but it wasn't to be. Newcastle picking up the 3 points today. It was more a case of they couldn't see the game out. That's basically what happened. Goal coming down the right hand side, and a lot of people talking about Tonali not closing down Kudus, but really for me this game may well hinge on the Isak chance when he went round the keeper and hit the post. It may well hinge on something like that, because ultimately if that goes in, then West Ham aren't getting that equaliser. So that's where Newcastle are. Interesting to speak to some of the players after the game, where they said they're still trying to get that level where they're more ruthless with teams. And Man City were referenced. Man City have had a lot of games where they haven't looked brilliant after Europe, they haven't looked tip top, but they've still gone and got the result. And I think that's where Newcastle must go after this, and I think they'll learn more from this than they will in some of the recent wins that they've had. So there's still some positives to be taken from it all. In his post-game press conference, Eddie Howe was asked about Nick Pope, the opening goal. Look, it was a defensive mix-up, and Lascelles pushing up and then the ball going over the top probably left Pope feeling that he had to do something, and he rushed out to try and sweep it all up. But sadly West Ham got the opener. But Eddie Howe quite intelligently pointing out to the save that he made in stoppage time, because without that Newcastle don't have the point. It's as simple as that. Great save to push away Jared Bowen's low shot, which ended up meaning the game finished all square. So pointing the fingers isn't something that this group tend to do. They've said that before. They were all speaking about collective responsibility after the game when we spoke to the players. But look, Newcastle on a great run still. 7 games unbeaten in all competitions. So much to look forward to. The only area of disappointment is the way that Newcastle let it slip late on. But for me, this is a team that's still growing. They're yet to click, they're yet to hit first gear, and that's positive because it's only October. So there's so much to look forward to, with Champions League games coming up against Dortmund. We've got the Carabao Cup away at Man United, and some very winnable Premier League games. So much to enjoy, and Newcastle will feel when they're back refreshed. I'm pretty sure they'll come back with a bit of a bang.